Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to Perfecto Mobile and the Perfecto Mobile Academy webinar. We are all excited and overwhelmed from the amount of interest in this webinar, and this is just a first webinar out of a series of mobile application development related webinars as part of our newly launched developer kit, which we have announced yesterday. So we are planning another repetitive webinar around the same topic, let's say, I think in 2 or 3 weeks from today. So keep in touch with us and follow up, and you'll get more information about it. So with me I have Itzik Levy, who is the head of Perfecto Mobile Academy. The Perfecto Mobile Academy is the certification and training organization within Perfecto, which certifies and actually trains all the partners and customers, as well as internal people within Perfecto, on the existing product capabilities and new product capabilities, as well as provide education centers and best practices to the entire community. Itzik is coming from a very long history of mobile development, including one of the newly joined people from the first days of Perfecto Mobile, involving the development of the engine for the mobile cloud automation, which we are currently using in most of our products. So I'm very excited to have Itzik with me here. Just few housekeeping information. We are going to have a short call with just before the session which Itzik is going to give, and we are also going to have a short survey at the end. So we appreciate your participation and feedback around the topics which we'll be discussing in today's webinar. You are all currently on mute, and this webinar is, as always, being recorded and will be shared with all of the attendees, including the slide deck. Sorry. So let's just dive in. For those of you who are not familiar with Perfecto Mobile is a company which was founded in 2006, currently has more than 120 employees with offices in Boston and London and Israel. We are currently serving more than 900 customers worldwide. We have been nominated by Gartner as a cool vendor for 2013, and what we are actually providing the industry is a platform called the Mobile Cloud. The Mobile Cloud provides or enables mobile application developers and testers to test their mobile applications from all over the world and also within the local LAN. We provide a full suite of products for manual testing, which is the Mobile Cloud Interactive, for automation, which is the Mobile Cloud Automation, performance and monitoring, with full set of integration to leading ALM and open source tools, as you will hear today, such as Eclipse and Selenium, but there are many more coming in. We provide a cloud which is deployed in different modes. One of them is the Express, which is the local cloud, on-premise cloud, which is connected to the LAN, internal network, or a private cloud deployed on-premise or hosted by us. And we also have the public cloud, which is available to our customers as software as a service from the web. In the webinar, Itzik will also be able to show a short demonstration of our mobile cloud capabilities before we dive into the Eclipse and Selenium. So in today, I will just won't take too much time out of the main topic here, which is Eclipse and Selenium. I will just say a few words about the mobile space, talk about the mobile app type debate, and then we'll move to some introduction around our Selenium WebDriver and Mobile Cloud Developer Kit, followed by mobile test automation demo best practices, code samples, which Itzik will be showing you. Feel free to answer questions in the background as you like. So, as you all know, and this is not something new, mobile is complex today. It's becoming more and more complex as we move forward. The diversity, fragmentation in the market as we see today is just growing. So if just a few months ago we are becoming aware of phablets, which are a new type of smartphone with large screen resolution, We are already starting to hear about new wearable devices running Android OS or iOS, including Google Glass and other mobile-based devices. These are all part of the complex matrix which you all need to take into account when you are planning your test automation or test strategy going forward, because we believe that in the next 1 or 2 years, these devices will also be serving your customers in various ways and use cases. Mobile is also, when we run into it every day, when we meet customers, prospects, and we hear it also in the media. Mobile is a long-term investment, and you online and our customers also need to understand it, because wherever you deploy your mobile application, you need to understand, you need to support it ongoingly, because it has a lot of risk for your brand and quality and the revenues and everything. This is not something new. But you also need to build a sustainable automation which will be able to support your new features, your new operating system, because as you see just as a sample on the screen here, these are examples of specific devices which behave differently in different operating systems or in different use cases. And we see it every day. So you need to look for a long-term investment, long-term relations when you are developing your application, when you are testing your application, because it's not just being deployed to the market. You need to continue following it and listen to your customers. When we are looking at mobile web, and usually or often when people refer to Selenium, historically they are referring to web automation, mobile web automation or desktop-based web automation. And in mobile there is a perception that web is less fragmented. So I don't know if and how new is this information which I'm showing right now on the screen to you, but you also need to take into account that for mobile, at least what you see on the screen for Android-based browsers, the fragmentation is still huge. We see that different browsers running on Android OS behave differently. They are premature. If you're talking about HTML5, you see the different feature completeness among different Android OS versions. And if you see the adoption on the right side of the screen, you see that only, let's say, 35 or 40% of the market is using Jelly Bean, which is 4.x version, while the rest are using still older version of Android, which have premature HTML5 implementation, meaning your application still, even if it's a web-based or a hybrid-based application, still will behave differently. So you also need to take this into account. Not far from that discussion, there is the mobile app style consideration. We see it also every day in many organizations which are going mobile, and they start to debate based on ROI discussions, complexity, resources, etc., which application type or which application style they should go with. And there are pros and cons, and in this webinar, the topic is not which is the best. I can tell you that there are pros and cons for each of these, but what I think you will come out of this webinar with is the notion of MobileCloud WebDriver or implementation, or our implementation using Eclipse, supporting any, and this is the innovation here, we are able within Eclipse today to support any mobile application style which you will choose. So if you go web, if you go native, or if you go hybrid, we will be able to show you in today's demo and with the new product which is being launched today, that we are able to support within Eclipse any mobile application style with full object recognition, either native, DOM, or visual. So stay tuned for the demo. This is what we are going to show you. With regards to Eclipse and Selenium intro, and I think that most of you online are either Eclipse or Selenium users, so I will not probably innovate anything to you. We are all aware that Eclipse is the leading open source IDE, which definitely supports many of the leading development languages in the industry. This is why it's mostly used, and we have decided to leverage its extensible plugin system and develop our own implementation, which you will soon see, to enable you to develop mobile application tests and mobile applications for your mobile devices and your business. With regards to Selenium, and we are calling our implementation MobileCloud WebDriver, Selenium evolved over the past few years from Selenium Remote Control, which was just a Selenium server with a simple Selenium RC client library, to a Selenium WebDriver, which is the Selenium 2.0. This is the Selenium WebDriver which we are leveraging in our solution, by the way. And with that Selenium 2.0, we are able to actually plug ourselves into the WebDriver API and work with the Selenium client on the devices to get all the objects on any browser which you will use. So just so you know, the current implementation is leveraging the Selenium WebDriver 2.0. With regards to the MobileCloud WebDriver, as I mentioned, we are extending the Selenium WebDriver to any mobile application, native, hybrid, or web, and enabling, and as I mentioned in the beginning, we are providing the MobileCloud platform. We are integrating within the Eclipse, the MobileCloud platform, which enables you to get access from within Eclipse to real devices, connected to real networks from anywhere in your organization. Okay. Another thing which is powerful, and you will see it soon in the demo, is the leverage of the script once automation, allowing you really from one Java script, Java actually class, to write a test and deploy, run it on multiple devices without the need to worry about porting, portability, and things like this. So before we move to a short poll, I just wanted to say just a few words about what is the MobileCloud Developer Kit, which is being introduced today. So the MobileCloud Developer Kit is a suite of tools which is going to grow in the near future, which enables you as customers and potential customers to extend any actually tool, open source tool, commercial tool, and extend it to mobile through our script once open APIs. What we already provide today from our MobileCloud Developer Kit is the Selenium and Eclipse, and this is part of today's webinar. We are also providing Jenkins integration for continuous integration and load testing solution connecting us to JMeter. So for those of you who are interested, we are also enabling JMeter integration as part of our mobile developer toolkit. We will also announce additional integration coming soon in the near future. So before we move to Itzik, I just wanted to launch a short poll. I really appreciate your participation. I'm just launching it right now. I hope that you can all see it. And let's see what you think. Basically, what we see today, and we are looking to hear from you, is how do you feel about conducting build acceptance tests on real devices as a requirement, meaning testing more your mobile applications earlier in the application lifecycle or in the software development lifecycle. So this is what we are trying to understand, and I see that you are all voting, and I appreciate your participation. I will soon close the poll. I really like the results here. I will soon share them with you. Okay, I'm now going to close the poll, and I will share with you the results. So what we see right now, and you can see it on the screen, that the majority of you strongly agree that conducting build acceptance testing on real devices will become a requirement, and we know that mobile is going agile, and as soon as you are able to test your application, if you're a developer, if you're a tester, if you're an agile team, the better. And we see your voice here, we hear your voice here, and it actually matches what we believe and what we hear from the industry as well. So I appreciate your voting here. And I think that now is a perfect time to move to the solution demo by Itzik. Itzik, it's now all yours, and I'm going to give you the presentation right. Yes, Itzik, yes, we can see your screen now. Take it away.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. I'm Isaac, and let's start with today's technical part of the webinar. So what we are going to cover today is practically made by 3 parts. The first part is a quick overview of the MobileCloud platform, because I'm aware of the fact that not all of you are familiar with Perfecto Mobile, so we will have some introduction. Second, we will cover the introduction to Perfecto Mobile integration with Eclipse and Selenium. And I will mention what is needed to be done in order to install the plugin into Eclipse in order to be able to connect to the mobile cloud and record everything done on the mobile devices right into your Eclipse test. And the third part, which is going to be the longest one, is practically an insight, a deep insight into the mobile test automation and best practices. And I prepared in advance a demonstration script running on 2 different devices, where I can practically educate you regarding some best practices of decisions that need to be made during your application automation, because that's quite a nice amount of options whenever it comes to automate your application. And we will drill into different kinds of objects available during your script implementation, and even some nice best practices whether to choose which type of them. So let's start. Since this feature of integration with the Selenium is about to be part of the coming version with Perfecto Mobile, then I'm using right now the R&D pre-release cloud in order to demonstrate it. So let's have a quick look. So what do we have under the Perfecto cloud of mobile devices? We have, in order for the manual testers of you to be able to connect to real devices on the cloud, we have the interactive tab, which lets you, of course, first to select your device. I reserved here 2 devices for the need of this webinar, so let's open them. And I will show you some nice capabilities that the cloud gives you whenever you are operating your devices. Practically, it will be a capability of operating the devices exactly as you do when the device is in your hands. But on top of that, we prepared some nice amount of functionality to make your life easier later on whenever you are coming to automate your application within the cloud. So if you see here 2 devices, that's because I opened these 2 devices on the cloud. These are real devices, because I am aware of the fact that not all of you are familiar. These are real devices, meaning if I choose this iPhone device and I click on the information item, then I see that this is an iPhone 4S running version 6.1.3. It has its IMEI. It is connected to a specific network in UK in this case, and so on and so forth. What you can do on the devices embedded inside the interactive panel. So you have, whenever I click on the device, then you can see that there's several widgets enabled on the left-hand side. If I click on the Samsung, you will see a different widget enabled, meaning, and that's a very important part in Perfecto Mobile, not all the functionality is supported on all the devices. And why is that? Because the operating systems are different by nature, and they expose different API for the application developers. So whenever an API is open for the developers, then Perfecto can fully utilize these APIs and expose them all the levels up to your scripting level and expose this capability to you. So, for example, if I am using right now this Android device, I click on the apps, I can move the screen, I can drag, and I can swipe. I can just operate the screen exactly as it was in my hand. And some nice capabilities here can be, for example, I can decide to launch applications based on start application and close application. I can install new applications with an embedded widget. For example, I can choose the application from my disk or from the repository of the cloud itself. Of course, we will get deep into these details later on inside Eclipse, so I don't want to spend a lot of time about that. Several other capabilities built in the interactive are interoperability and sharing capabilities of the device, meaning I can inject incoming calls to the device and, of course, incoming SMS. I can share the device with others, and so on and so forth. Not only, capabilities of interacting with the device, but some nice capabilities of the device itself. For example, here I'm able to browse the device file system. I can take files out from the device to my PC and in from my PC to the device. Some other nice things here can be capabilities around device vitals. So, for example, I can inject device vitals deep into my session. Let's say that I know that in my application I might do something that can be a challenge for the CPU or the memory of the device. No problem about it. I can inject into my script a collection for these specific for example, here you can see the CPU and the battery, and I can even take memory and bytes in and out and measure them all and see the influence of things that I do inside my application on this device vitals. On top of everything, I have the automation tab. Let's leave it for a second in order for you to understand that that's a full cloud, meaning when I'm using the cloud, then I can reserve my devices on the cloud. I can see the repository of all the data encapsulated on the cloud itself regarding data tables, images, and some other things that I can put on the repository of my cloud. And of course, I am able to see the reports of all the script executions that have been made. Regarding the automation, that's exactly what we are going to focus deep inside Eclipse, is that when we have the devices, we can practically do any macro recording automation scripting, and on top of that, we can even inject the clever functions which are tailor-made for these devices and are off the shelf inside the cloud. So just for your understanding, let's record something very simple on the device. So I'm clicking on the notes. I'm creating a new note. I can inject a text with a building hello world, for example, that I can inject into the script. Then I can click on done. For example, I can even delete that. And if I stop now, I can practically rerun. Of course, it's obvious to say nobody is writing script like that, because this kind of scripting, which is called macro recording, is very naive. It doesn't use any screen analysis, and by that, it's practically not important. So if I'm going to, let's stop for a second and dive into the functions which are high level in scripting. Let me please show you, let's clean this one. Let me please show you, we have prepared in advance several functionality around application management. For example, installing application, removing applications, starting and closing applications. We have some browser capabilities of cleaning the browser, opening and going for a site. And of course, all the other aspects of the device that we have seen before, like file system management and other cloud services. So all of this functionality can be injected into the script that you are running. So now, if I'm closing these devices, I can safely move into Eclipse and then focus on the integration with Eclipse Selenium. This is the reason we are just gathered together today. So let's show my desktop. I'm double-clicking and launching my Eclipse session. And by the meantime, let me just show you what is needed in order to start working with our integration with Eclipse. So there are some prerequisites for you in order to install the add-in to Eclipse, which is the Java version, of course the Eclipse version, and to be able to connect to Perfecto Mobile MCM version 6 and above. That's why I'm using right now the pre-release system. Whenever that's done and you have access to one of Perfecto clouds, then you need inside Eclipse to open the help, install new software, then insert the URL, and on the cloud that you have credentials to work with, you can just download the add-in and start working. Back to Eclipse. Okay, so now back in Eclipse, what you see here is right after you install the add-in of Perfecto Mobile to your Eclipse session. So under Window, Show View, and Others, you can see here the Mobile Cloud. So you see the Mobile Cloud dashboard and the Mobile Cloud recording. Practically, the recording of your script on real devices will be made using the Mobile Cloud recording. And in order to watch the running script on the real devices, you can either use the recording, but it's better to use the dashboard. Later on, you will understand that you will get all the executions that you made right on the cloud itself. So here, I have the cloud exactly as you see before on the Perfecto mobile cloud. So I can open devices. As you remember, I reserved to myself 2 different devices. I'm opening these 2 devices that you see before. Great. And now, before we start, I would like to say some words regarding the context of what we are going to do today. So, because my wish right now is to run with you an education session regarding some best practices and information, how do you start and implement your mobile test session, then I've prepared before some native application from the Perfecto Mobile Academy. And this application is available right now on these 2 devices. Let's get known a little bit with the application itself, because we are going to use it later on. So if I'm going to create a new project into my Eclipse session, then I will choose Mobile Cloud Project. I will give it a name, for example, Demo. But now, when I click on Next, you can see the secret behind the scene. What is going here behind the scene is practically, you need to supply your credentials into the mobile cloud that you are registered to. In this specific case, I have this pre-release cloud, I have my username and password, and the system is going to use these credentials per every line existing inside your script, because each and every line in your script is behind the scene using the Perfecto HTTP API in order to activate something on a real device on the cloud. So these credentials are the most important one in order to make sure that your script is going to run correctly on the devices on your cloud. So what do you get whenever you start a new project? This skeleton that you see here is exactly what you need in order to start implementing your mobile application test session. So what we have here, Perfecto Mobile practically implemented an interface to the MobileDriver class. What you see here, and I can click on F2. Let's use the Java docs in order to see that indeed. So what we have implemented is the following interface. The iMobileDriver. What you see here is practically the heart of everything here is the iMobile device. If I click on iMobile device, we can have a deep look into what later on will be available for you during your automation script. So there are several things that you can do with the devices. In the meantime, I will show you the interfaces which are the most important ones. The first API is, which is the important one, is some words that I need to say when it comes to all the bread and butter of automation. Whenever you would like to implement a script, you like to talk in the logical levels, you would like to talk with objects. So whenever your application is instrumented, meaning I will explain in a second what is an instrumentation of the application. Whenever your application is instrumented, then it gives you the capability of exposing the real UI objects right to the script writer. So whenever you, in order to understand what is an application instrumentation, then in order to instrument your application, what you need to do is to link your application, of course application under test, with a Perfecto library that later on will do exactly this magic. Will expose your UI, your application UI object to the script writer, and then you will be able to talk directly with these objects when it comes to native objects of your application, to your DOM-based object when it comes to DOM-based application. Of course, hybrid application you also need for the browser part of it to talk directly with the DOM object. But always with Perfecto Mobile, you will keep the capabilities of working with visual objects. Visual objects are the objects coming from analyzing the device screen for text and image and exposing, this is the visual object, and exposing visual objects to the script writer. And when I say visual objects, the most important part of that is that whenever you would like to create a script which is one by one will tell you what is going to be the real user experience of your application in real life, it will always be better to base your script on judgment of visual objects when it comes to validation. So whenever I'm navigating into and inside my application, supplying some objects, then I'm working directly with the native application objects when they are available and applicable. But when it comes to validations, then I will prefer the visual objects. Back to my script. I would like to show you what it's all about. So if I'm deciding to launch the application but under recording, let's start recording my session. If I will click on this application icon, then I will get, let's stop it for a second. What I will get here is very simple thing. It's practically mobile touch option that gives me the ability for a single tap on the device screen. It was repeated only once, but it's going to happen on the device with this IMEI, meaning, if I will show you for a second the information about the device, this is the IMEI of the device that I'm activating right now. So practically, everything is going to be recorded on the device under test. So get device and of course get a mobile touch screen, touch the screen in a specific location. That was the simple touch operation that I made. If I'm going to go deep into objects, so let's open, for example, the object spy, which exposed to me, because this application is instrumented already, the object spy is capable to talk directly with the UI objects of my application and let me supply information to these objects. Let me just filter out only the edit fields. That will be enough. Then when I click here on the user, I can set this box with a value. For example, the username will be John. And if I decided to execute that on add and add it to my script, then what I will get is this kind of recording. But here, unlike the previous one, which was just a touch event on the screen, here I'm using practically working directly with a mobile WebDriver, working directly with the object that encapsulated this edit box, and sending this object called UI text field, sending this object a click. Okay, so the name of the object behind the scene implemented by this application on the iOS device is called UI text field, and because that's the first one on the screen, then inside the parentheses you will see 1. If I will do the same thing, let me just refresh that, you will see the John. Now, working here, and I supply the password, then again execute on add, click here, start recording. You will see, let's refresh the screen, you will see the Perfecto 1 password injected into, and here you will see index number 2. So it's all about working directly with the real and native UI objects of the application. But that's exactly also the con, not only the pro. What the con about it is that it tends to be changing while you do exactly the same thing on a different device. Meaning if I do the same operation, let's close this one. If I do the same operation, sorry, I can stop this recording. If I do the same operation on my Android application, then I will get different UI objects. Okay? Let me just use this object spy again. Sorry, the device under test is not the correct one. Okay. Now, if I will supply that, you will see what I'm talking about. So let's minimize that in order for you to see that. Execute on add and add it to my screen. Start the recording. And now let's explain what we got. So I did exactly the same thing, but on different device. What I get is a different naming convention for the same object behind the scene. Nobody cares when he is the user of the application that in order to implement this application, there is a totally different operating system and different techniques and capabilities and that caused the object behind the scene to be totally different, meaning Android widget edit text 1 against, if you remember, UI text field number 1. So we will need later on to deeply discuss how we can tackle this problem, because different applications meaning different kind of objects, and we will get into it later on. So let's continue working on my Apple phone. I would like to continue this quest with explaining something else. If I open that again, then in order to click on the login button, let's minimize that again. In order to click on the login button, I can decide to do exactly what I did before and keep using the control ID that the system gives me. But whenever it's available to work with the object label, like I can do here with the login, then it's always better, meaning I'm removing working with the control ID, I'm moving to work with the label identification for the object. And if I'm using that and add it to my script, then what I get is that I'm working directly right now. Sorry, it was just meshed into that. I'm working directly, not with objects, but with representation of the label of the object. And from this moment on, my single implementation will be correct for both devices. So that's a very, very important part of my implementation. Let's do the same here. I can stop the recording, by the way. Let's continue. So we saw visual objects. Let's remind you regarding visual objects. For example, if I would like to visually, remove this one. If I would like to visually analyze the screen, I can use the off-the-shelf function coming from Perfecto to do that. For example, a checkpoint can be done here. I can supply the text and try to see what the code of visual analysis for text and images can do for me. And it's actually succeeding in analyzing the back button on the screen. So everything is available for me. So the last type of object that has not been carried on is the DOM-based one. So let's open, what I have in this application is, per every screen, let's have a quick look. I have some different kinds of demonstration that I show you. For example, here I can show you different kind of buttons in order to show you different classes behind the scene. This type is a long list of list entry that gives me the ability to show you scrolling and clicking. And the most important one for me right now is to show you screen number 4, which is practically an hybrid application, meaning I have here an embedded browser deep into my application, and that can be the last part of the walkthrough of the different object types. Let's open again the object spy. Let's decide to work with a DOM-based object. Okay, let's minimize this one. Okay. Let me try and show you the full flow right now. I will open again the devices. That's part of the risk you're working on R&D systems. So I'm working again with my devices. And right now, let's have a look on the full flow that we have here. So what I created here, let's enable this a little bit bigger, and this one as well. We can close this one to have more room. And let's review a flow that can assist us tremendously regarding the education session. So what I do here is the following. I have my device object. I execute the flow that you are going to see right now with two different threads inside my Eclipse, meaning this script is going to run in parallel. Let's get known with the data that I'm injecting into my flow. So what I created in advance is a kind of an array holding the device ID on which I'm going to run, the ID for the application that I'm going to launch, the location of the application that I'm going to install directly from the Perfecto MobileCloud repository, then whether I would like to instrument the application or not. And here I'm demonstrating two different options, meaning on the iOS I'm taking an application which already has been instrumented, then I don't need to instrument it. And on the Android, I would like to instrument on the fly the application before installing it. So that's why here it's true and here it's false. It's the opposite logic of deciding whether you would like to instrument or not. Then I supply the username and the password, and the last part will be the path to keep the report. So let's see if the R&D system is stable enough. Let's execute and then explain. Okay, so by the meantime the script is running, let's see what we have. It's like a rule whenever I start to implement anything on the mobile device. First I take the device, meaning I open the device, and by using this open functionality, I'm making sure that the device is not allocated by anybody else and is available for me. Then I call the home function on the device, mainly in order to get rid of devices that are starting when the screen is locked. After unlocking the screen, I'm installing the application. And which application? The information is being taken from this device data that we just saw before. And here I supply the information whether I would like to instrument the application before installing or not. After installing the application, I bring the device to the home screen again. And then, and that's the most important part, I'm getting access to both visual drivers and native drivers. Why that? Because I am going to use both native application objects and visual objects on the device screen during my execution. Here is what I would like to focus, because that's very important. The name of the discussion around this corner is going to be branching, meaning what should I do whenever my application behaves differently on two different devices, but I still would like to maintain a single script. So what I do is the following. I'm taking the operating system information from the device. I'm asking whether the operating system information is iOS or Android, and I implement differently the part which behaves differently. Meaning if in order to start the application, there's a totally different flow, then I will implement it differently. And you can see here very clearly that in order to launch the application on the iOS device, I made it with navigation, meaning I click on Home, and then on the search field of the iPhone, I type the application name and click in order to launch it, unlike what I do on the Android device, which is using off-the-shelf function coming from Perfecto, which is called open application. You see, open native application driver. Another different thing that I'm doing, as you already saw, is in order to supply the username and the password, I have different kind of objects. That's why these objects are part of the branching part of my script. But unlike this approach, the login is a single implementation and brings me back to the script once approach of Perfecto Mobile. After logging into the application, I click on the login, on the continue button, and then I'm getting deep into the third screen. I scroll the screen as you saw before in order to see the specific entry in the list. I clicking on the specific entry and so on and so forth. Application screen number 4 is what you saw before regarding the embedded browser. That's where I'm typing Perfecto Mobile and browsing to the Perfecto Mobile site. Another nice thing about it, and I don't know you, but I guess that part of you are interested later on also with performance and monitoring aspects of mobile application, then I decided to inject into my demonstration another part. That part is regarding what needs to be done in order to measure some timings of things that have been done into the application. So what I can see here, just a second, is this part. This part is practically right after clicking on the embedded browser of the Perfecto application. I'm waiting for the sign-in text inside the Google search area. But I would like to measure how much time it takes for both different devices, for both devices, to fully render and see the sign-in button. So what I did is that I'm measuring the user interface timer embedded into the Perfecto function, and let's see the results. Let's see what the results show us. Here are the results. Whoa, that's nice. That's nice. What I see here is the following. I see totally different amount of time took for the iPhone to render this page and the Samsung device to render this page. So what I see here is that thread number 2, which is the Samsung device, it took 2.5 seconds to fully render the sign-in button inside the embedded browser, inside the Perfecto application, unlike 1.5 seconds that it took to the iPhone device, meaning the iPhone device, it's much, much faster render this site, and it's very, very important information that you can utilize later on. So remember, whenever you are interested in measuring the user experience, availability, and performance aspects of any kind of your application capabilities, then always Perfecto Mobile can supply you all kinds of timers, meaning elapsed time, system time, device time, user experience time, and some other very useful information in order to see that. So the last part of my demonstration is going to be to show you the results of this execution. So let me just show you what I decided here. I decided to save the results here. Report number 1 is the execution on the iOS device, while report number 2 is the execution on the Android device. A quick look into this report is very enlightening because it shows you every single step that I took during my execution. It has embedded screenshots per every decision that my implementation made, as you can see. You have full time measurement for each and every part of my script. And practically you can dive into any problem appear during the script execution. And not only these screenshots, these nice screenshots that you can focus on, you can always watch a full video available for you in order to investigate what happened during the script execution. So remember, as you can see, everything happened on the device is fully video recorded and available for you later on when it comes to report analysis. So Eran, I'm passing you back the presenter role. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope that this very quick interview of the Perfecto mobile integration with Eclipse and Selenium was enlightening enough, and we will have more sessions soon. And not all of that, you have all the educational aspects of what I show you inside the Perfecto Mobile Academy site, and we can dive into this information in the future. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Itzik. I think that this was, including the surprise at the end, which I was not expecting, was a very insightful demo. I hope you all enjoyed it. Many questions in the back panel, and I hope that we were able to address all of the questions. We'll follow up with you after the webinar as well. Just making a strong point, because we got many questions about the type of devices, jailbreak, non-jailbreak. So all of the Perfecto devices in the cloud, no matter which cloud, are non-jailbroken. So this just to sort things out. We are working with real devices, non-jailbroken. We have different types of instrumentation, as Itzik mentioned. So hopefully this answers the question. This webinar is recorded, and we will be sharing the recording with you. In order to get the MobileCloud WebDriver, the solution which Itzik just showed, embedded within Eclipse, you can, if you are already an existing customer of the MobileCloud automation, you can get a free trial for the introductory period, which is Q1 of 2014. The GA of this product, as you have seen, it was presented from our development environment, will be available pretty soon for you to use. So free trial available for the existing MobileCloud automation licenses. You can get more information through the Contact Us button in our website, which you see here. Many other previously recorded webinars and many additional information, white papers, demonstrations, sample codes from the Academy, which Itzik mentioned, are also available through the knowledge base and the website. So I encourage you to use them. And with that, I would like to conclude this webinar and appreciate the time and feedback from you. And we look forward to an additional webinar, which we are planning to do in 2 weeks from today. So thanks a lot, Itzik.
Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed.
Thanks, guys.